Good morning and welcome. Happy Hump Day, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender on this gorgeous Wednesday. It is what we do. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And remember now, you can order online. Yep, we've done it. I mean, you've been able to order online for a while, but you can do whatever you did over the phone. You can now do online. You can pay with a check. You can pay with a credit card. You can have the product shipped, or you can have it picked up here at our office in Phoenix or our office up there in Denver. We've got you all covered. Backwards, forward, sideways, upside down, you name it, 24 hours a day at allamericangold.com. And remember, make that part of your daily routine. There are so many things that we talk about on this show, and then there's about 100 times more stuff out on the website. So make sure you're out there. Keep yourself educated. Keep yourself in the know. Man, a lot of things going on. We had some data come out. I won't bore you with all the details right now, but let's just say it's a continuation of what I told you was going to happen. We've got Jay Powell coming up. He's at the Economics Club of New York. Yeah, baby, right? You know, he's going to hobnob with all the billionaires. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any average folk at the Economics Club there in New York. I don't even want to know what it costs to get into that thing. But we're waiting for the big speech. And I'm already going to tell you that once again, and you know, they are clueless. They have no idea. It's already happening, and they're not even ready to even say that we're slowing down. It's already happened. It's over. Need I remind you of why GM is closed? They didn't close one plant. They didn't close two. They didn't close three. They didn't close four. They didn't close five. By the way, almost 15,000 U.S. jobs gone in the latest rounds of cuts. And listen, we haven't heard from Ford. We haven't heard from what is it, Fiat, Chrysler. It's all happening. And then, of course, the president, man, is he not happy. He is upset. He's got the Fed. He's all over Jay Powell. Of course, this weekend, it's the big G20, right? Are we going to have some form of resolution with the Chinese over the trade thing? I'm going to give you the same answer I gave you about this time last year. China's not doing anything. Now, are we going to give in? I don't think so. Listen, General Motors is another example of why we've got to keep fighting. It's going to be painful. Wall Street's not going to like it. But don't take my word for it. So we've got a clip, CNBC this morning, very calmly, by the way, very calm, matter-of-fact discussion of where the president is, where the economy is, and what the most likely outcome of the G20 meeting with the Chinese and the whole trade war dispute, where that's going to end up. So we're going to play that in the next segment. Right, we had third quarter GDP, the second, because they revise it. It was unchanged. But there was a lot of detail inside of it. And again, it's already happening. The biggest thing of why it remained unchanged was not the consumer. Matter of fact, the consumer got adjusted down by about 10%. It was big. What offset it was a huge increase in inventory, which makes sense because the consumer didn't buy it. Right? So it actually, I was like, wow, the revision actually made sense. Does not bode well. And again, I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but it does not bode well for the GDP here in the fourth quarter, and then obviously 2019. I've already told you, right? GDP is going to go right back to where it was before the Trump administration, mostly because the Federal Reserve is clueless. I mean, they really are. It is amazing that these and I listen. They're so smart, right? And I am sure if you gave them the IQ test, right, they're going to be way above. Right? They're going to way up there. I'm not saying they're Einstein or anything like that, but these are smart people. But their inability to see what is right in front of their face. And here's the problem, right? Wall Street and the Fed, they're all the same thing. They like to talk about the stuff that already happened. They like to, 4.2% GDP. Dude, that was months ago. That's gone. That 3.5, that third quarter, that's gone. Gone. It's over. They can't see what is right in front of their face. So we got all of that coming up today. We got some other things, housing data, and let's just say this: there's a lot of new homes on the market right now. That's all I'm going to say. I'll give you the details when we get back. And then J.P. Morgan, maybe they started listening to my show. They've got a new forecast for the dollar for next year. Let me tell you right now, get your dialing fingers ready. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. That is the toll-free number. allamericangold.com. That is the website, right? So now you can use your fingers to dial or your thumbs now, right? Because I guess me and Arlene were talking about it because I said to her during the break, hey, is the same fingers you dial with the same fingers that I guess you type with two hands. But if you're on your phone, Arlene says that people, it's the thumb. So whatever, hey, whatever, you want to use your fingers, your thumbs, whatever you want to use, we're ready for you. 800-951-0592 or allamericangold.com. Before we get to CNBC, remember the bailouts? And remember how they came out originally and said that they were going to pay us back, and that they were going to, don't worry, we're going to get all of our money back. And, of course, we told you that was, I don't want to call it a lie. We did get paid back without actually getting paid back. We got paid back on bookwork more than we actually got paid back in actual money, right? It was kind of like a fake payback, kind of like Social Security. The whole thing was just one big paper scam. After the announcement from General Motors yesterday, the Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and the President said that they want General Motors to pay back the taxpayer the amount of money that the bailout cost us. Just General Motors alone, by the way, we lost $11.2 billion. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's actually a lot more than that. And the reason being is we allowed General Motors to write off losses for years and years and years and years. Who knows? They may still be writing some of it off and underpaying taxes after that, but they want General Motors to pay back the taxpayer. You know what? Hey, sounds about right. By the way, the president now also looking into auto tariffs again. Right? Trying to figure out, okay, because listen, he's not dumb. He knows. General Motors they're not dumb enough to announce, by the way, we're just going to ramp up production in the plants that we already have in Mexico to build these cars that we've got too much, overcapacity for in the United States. Right? Versus, hey, let's shut down that plant in Mexico and keep the workers working here. So stay tuned for that. But I always tell you a couple of things. Number one, be your own central bank, right? Number two, don't take my word for it, right? People out there, and a lot of people, when they hear this show, the ones that really don't want to look at reality, they want to believe that their financial planner actually knows what he's talking about. They don't. They may know the products that they offer, but they don't know what they're talking about. Right? And they always, he's trying to scare you. He's exaggerating. He's this and that. None of that happens here. This was CNBC this morning talking about where we are at, where the economy is going, what about interest rates, what about the trade deal, and when we're done with that, we're going to talk about where the dollar's headed, because really for all of us that are holding real money, that's the most important thing. Ramon, let's play that clip.
Marty Feldstein, who wrote a piece yesterday in the Journal about why you got to hike rates now to fight recession later.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's two camps, and I think they're both very exemplified by the president's more coherent interview with the Washington Post, where he basically said, listen, it's not China that's slowing us down, it's the Fed. It's very interesting to hear all these people who say that there is no slowdown. The president had been saying there was no slowdown. He's no longer saying that. I think he was rattled by GM yesterday. I think he's beginning to recognize that there are cracks in the strength of the economy that really came from his tax cuts. And I think that he's starting to realize, holy cow, this could go away. I think that, by the way, G20, I know we're going to talk about it, very, very crucial. But the president was so ad hominem personally attacking Jay Powell that it's the type of thing that if I attacked you or David like that, I think we would have a problem and would have to get off the desk and resolve it, except that there is no getting off the desk. Jay Powell is a man of great distinction and integrity. And he is not someone, by the way, he's tall, David. He is not someone.
Apparently, that's a new rule.
Get to that.
Right. New rule for Fed chair.
Jay Powell.
Me out.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Jay not you. Before I got older, I think I would have made.
Yeah, you were a little taller.
That was 5'9".
Before you started shrinking.
But yes, I did. I did shrink. But Jay Powell is a man of great distinction, and to trifle, you don't trifle with him like this. He's actually a person who has rigor, and I think he won't know what to do with the president that, frankly, shows tremendous disrespect, both the institution and the man.
This Fed has gone 200 basis points in about 3 years. Right? Real rates are zero. Right? One of the slowest hiking cycles we've had in recent times. What would have happened if he'd been president when Greenspan was doing 400 plus over 2 years?
I mean, Greenspan caused a recession, but we know you saw what happened to Bernanke. I mean, I think that what Bernanke went on autopilot and just kept raising 17 rate hikes without talking about what was happening in the housing market, using this blunt instrument that shouldn't be done, it was a big mistake. I mean, look, I think that we look at the way that the Fed is raised. We should be looking at mortgage rates. And mortgage rates are 5%. That makes it so it's very, very difficult to justify selling your house and buying a new house because you're just making it so that it's much more expensive. This was not a great quarter for retail. People think it's a great quarter, but what the stocks have told you. So you have a possible slowdown in retail. Look, GM does not lay off people because business is booming. You have a slowdown. You have a slowdown in housing. Well, what else is left? Okay, so Amazon did well. Amazon and Walmart are duking each other out to lower prices for the consumer. By the way, oil and gas have been a real issue. We know, other than the fees that Spirit raised, that it's been tremendous, good for the airlines, but it's also good for the consumer. So
very good
I think
for the consumer, although it is an important part of our overall economy.
Right.
When we're producing over 11 million barrels a day.
12 million, but I think the problem. Your view is good. My view is good. I'm trying to develop a little more of a way that I think that the network should be going. Because I respect you.
Oh, you're saying it's 12, not 11.
Well,
I thought it was I said 11.7 yesterday to one of our oil experts.
People could disagree.
And he talked me down from 11.7.
You have to look at the Bakken and you have to add in the Permian. But I think what's most important is the strongest area of the economy had been Texas. And that's no longer the case. because the amount of drilling is going to be cut back at 50 versus 80. It's dramatic.
We're on the same page.
Right. So in other words, there is no region in the country that's as strong as it was 6 months ago. Tax cuts running through its way. There are people who come on air. There was a gentleman who came on air earlier, Mr. Taylor. He says business is accelerating, very strong. I think that's an ill-informed view, but you know what? He has every right to be able to be ill-informed, as I have a right to be informed. But I do think that. Look, I'm sitting here talking.
You haven't mentioned China once. You really don't think China's important?
Would you get away from me? I'm about to tell you that if we get,
I'm not getting away.
Here's
from
what we're going to do.
So I'm not
here's my prediction. We're going to go ahead with the 25% on the ones that we already have, but we're going to delay it for the next 200 some.
So no January. Push it back 3 to 6 months
for the new ones.
For the new ones.
In other words, what? All right. So go from 10 to 25 on what already is 10, but not do the new 267.
Right. That's going to be the bargaining
And what?
chip.
They buy some natural gas. They buy some soybeans.
Yeah. I mean, not that we have enough natural gas. By the way, we flared more natural gas. Do you know the price of natural gas in the Permian? What do you think is the price of natural gas in the Permian?
I don't know.
Zero. No, I'm not kidding. Thank you, Rusty Brazil, for giving me that zero number.
So there you have it, right? Talking about, first of all, the blatant disrespect that the president is showing Jay Powell, who's a good man, right? He has rigor. Listen, I want this to be clear because you have to understand, I am not attacking the person. Right? I'm not attacking Jay Powell or Janet Yellen or Ben Bernanke or Alan Greenspan. The person. You know, it's like, this is junk economics. It's what it is. Sorry. It's what it is. We are not any better off today. Matter of fact, we're becoming worse off. Right? Think about what you used to be able to do when I was growing up to what your kids can do today. Right? I told you when I went and saw my buddy Brett, my doctor. Right? I used to coach his kids. Right? He knew all my kids since they were babies. And we laugh about, his son's going to follow in his footsteps, be a doctor. And he's talking about, yeah, man, I can't cut him off. Got to be able to live. Right? We laugh and we talk about all the people. We know everybody's doing it because we have to. And you think about all of the other things he talked about. All of a sudden, Trump gets it. Things have slowed down. And that's why he's so upset. And think about what he said about the trade war. Hey, they're not going to do the other $250 billion or whatever it was. He doesn't think. Now, this is a guess. We don't know. But the existing 10%, they now say it's going to 25 come January. They think that's what's going to happen. That's not good. Right? But, again, listen, I think we need to take all of it. If you really want to play this junk economic game, this is the only way it works. Right? The minimum wage, forget about 15. Right? Minimum wage got to be 30. And by the time we get to 30, it'll have to be 50. By the time we get to 50, it's got to be 100. Listen, this is how, if you want to play the fiat money game, that's how the fiat money game works. And by the way, someone wrote a story. I thought it was interesting that one of the problems that allegedly the president had with Janet Yellen, she was too short. And I get it, right? Someone actually said that about the presidents, right? The taller guy usually wins. I don't know. But anyway, that's where that comment came from. Before we go, we're coming up on the break. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to tell you the new dollar forecast by J.P. Morgan. And remember, I'm telling you, and I've been setting this up here. Listen, we missed 2018. And I'll say this. I missed it because I was wrong. And what I mean, I know that's kind of odd, right? Because I really thought we'd be 1,400 by now. I did. It's going to be next year. Because I didn't think the dollar would get stronger with the trade war, right? Because I'm like, that's bad. But I didn't see that. Now, Wall Street, oh, yeah, look how strong America. Well, you got to remember, though, we're going to have that big GDP. We're not going to look so strong now with the GDP going back to 2 or below and the trade war and all that. But I'm telling you, we got a bump in this dollar, and a big one, for factors I didn't see, like the Brexit thing with the UK. That's still going on. The whole thing with the euro's a mess, which is really a lot of it. But we got a new forecast coming. But before we do that, I want you to know the House of Representatives has a new tax bill. It's not going to go anywhere. So I'm not going to give you all the details, but they're getting ready to do all kinds of things with your retirement and this and that and the other. But don't worry, because it won't go anywhere. But it was 300 pages. The Constitution of the United States, 4. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative pro-family perspective since 1983 and continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now, from the Phyllis Schlafly Center Studios, Ed Martin.
The Washington Post ran last month what must rank as one of the looniest pieces they or anyone has ever run. Retired history professor Victoria Bissell Brown penned a column entitled, quote, "Thanks for not raping us, all you good men, but it's not enough," end quote. I'm not sure which is worse, the headline title of the column itself, or the fact that the Post would think this was appropriate to run in their paper. Brown essentially argues that men are, by nature, vile and terrible, and will not and cannot change or truly help women. Even the ones she thinks of as good, who oppose sexism and have advanced women in culture, are incapable of being good or of changing. Her column goes on to describe a recent night with her husband when she literally screams at him because she was, quote, triggered by a small, thoughtless, dismissive, annoyed, patronizing comment, end quote. She goes on to define her husband as one who listens to her and who is, quote, one of the good men, end quote. But Brown admits, "I said the meanest things I've ever said to him. Don't you dare sit there and sympathetically promise to change. No," I said, "you can't change. You're unable to change. You don't have the skills and you won't do it. You," I said, "are one of the good men. You respect women. You believe in women. You like women. You don't hit women or rape women or in any way abuse women. You've applauded and funded feminism for a half century. You're one of the good men and you cannot change," end quote. This absolute lunacy perfectly displays the sad reality of radical liberal feminism. Phyllis Schlafly always pinpointed exactly what this op-ed shows. Feminists demand everything from men, even though they admit their hatred and disbelief in men. There's not one shred of reason in this op-ed or in the feminist movement. Feminism has never been about equality. Feminism is about rage and hatred toward men, even the liberal men who advance the feminist agenda. Hatred of men isn't a solution to any problem. It is the problem. This is pure sexual identity politics, and it will only divide us, not bring us together.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Political correctness is no longer simply about restricting speech. This tool for tyranny has led to employees being fired, pastors silenced, small businesses closed, and truth suppressed. Thankfully, the politically correct can't censor the work at phyllisschlafly.com. Join us, won't you, at phyllisschlafly.com. And thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
Remember that thing? Less government. Right? We were, the greatest country on earth. And the whole Constitution. Bill of Rights, 4 pages. 4. Now, granted, they were bigger pages. Okay? I'll give you that. So, okay, let's go crazy. 10 pages. Right? We got the whole backbone of the entire country in 10 pages. Think government's too big? See, this is what happened. We created the Federal Reserve in 1913, and all of a sudden, we had an explosion in the amount of, well, let's just use the tax code, shall we? You know, when they first wrote the federal income tax, think about this country, we didn't have federal income tax. You know, the government ran tariffs. I know. Wouldn't that be great if it ran that way again? You know, the only reason why aircraft carriers and jets, you know, cost, like one jet costs like $35 billion. Right? It's because we have fiat money. We go back to gold and silver, it could get done. The tax code was 400 pages. And during the first 26 years, it only got to 504 pages. Of course, then we had the New Deal, right? This is what happened when you get the central bank and fiat money in charge. It jumped to 1,000. By World War II, it was over 8,000. But do you know when the biggest growth occurred? You guessed it. Right after 1971. Matter of fact, in 1984, it was then 26,000 pages. Today, and this is just one piece, this is just taxes, almost 100,000 pages. Right? Constitution, 4. Right? See the problem here? I'm going to give you our toll-free number. 800-951-0592 or the website allamericangold.com. J.P. Morgan was out today, and they have a new forecast for the dollar. And it's not just for next year, by the way. They say the dollar slump is on the horizon. Now, remember, we were slumping already. Right, and we have this pattern that about every 5 to 7 years, the dollar goes in this slump, and it was back in, we had gone 5, and we were slumping, and I'll give Trump all the credit in the world. He greased all of the major companies and big business, and we got a little, I don't want to call it a false move in the dollar, but it is what it is. J.P. Morgan now says that the horizon is here and the slump is going to last for years. They anticipate the greenback may start falling by 2019 amid cooling U.S. economy. And again, they're overly optimistic. I hate to say that. A pause in the Federal Reserve hiking cycle that they now say will start in the second half of 2019. So J.P. Morgan saying, hey, at best 3 hikes. I'll be shocked if we get 3. That'll be really bad. One's not good. The one we're going to get in December, that's already not good. 2 more, according to J.P. Morgan. Ultimately, the trajectory is downward and over a multi-year period. By the way, the guy that is writing this for J.P. Morgan, some executive VP, asset manager, he happens to handle $1.7 trillion of money. And I always laugh about it because I want you to think about the FDIC insurance, right? What is there, 20, 30 billion in there? This guy handles $1.7 trillion. In the second half of next year, the Fed will indeed pause, and you'll see the dollar start to fall. In terms of why the dollar is going to keep falling, and really what he said was why the dollar didn't keep falling this year. So remember, this is the thing I told you about. I was right, but I was wrong. It wasn't so much that the U.S. sped up more than expected. It was the rest of the world slowed down more than expected, either way. Right? We had the big tax cuts. If we wouldn't have the big tax cuts, we'd have been with everybody anyway, right? We delayed it a little bit. Looking to next year, the United States is going to slow down with the rest of the pack. He goes on to say that they expect the slide to last for years. And, of course, again, remember what I told you about. By the end of 2019, I think the Federal Reserve is going to be talking about rate cuts, not rate hikes. Remember the article, or we played that clip with CNBC this morning, and that, what was it? Jeremy Feldstein, right? Some other great, super smart Nobel laureate. We got to raise rates now because we got to get ready for the recession. Right? And kind of, you know what, I'll say this. I'll at least agree with them. Hey, raising the rate, lowering the rate, we're going into recession either way. Sorry. But, I guess, right, so we can lower more. I guess that's the thing. Listen, that's not going to be enough. We've got a clear pattern. You used to be able, you took the Fed's funds rate from 6, 7, 8, and you brought it to 5. Then you took the Fed's funds rate from 6 and you brought it to 4. Then you took the Fed's funds rate from 5 and we brought it to 1. Right? Then we took the Fed's funds rate, went back to 5, and we brought it to 0. Now we're talking about, at least for J.P. Morgan, we're not even going to get to 3. Where do you think it's going? I'm just saying, right? These are simple things. I mean, I'm not that smart. I don't have a Nobel laureate. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. I'm not a mathematics or economics major of any kind. Well, there's numbers less than 0, and I think that's where we're going to see rates go. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll talk home sales when we return. 800-951-0592 or the shopping cart at allamericangold.com. Listen, I'm chasing something right now. I'm hopeful we'll have something available here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. We're working phones right now. Haven't got it complete yet, but I got my fingers crossed. Sales of new homes fell to the lowest number in over 2.5 years in October. Sharp decline in every region of the country. Higher mortgage rates hurting the housing market. You know the story. New home sales fell 8.9%. Wow. That's big. Down to 544,000, the lowest level since March of 16. According to Reuters, forecast for new homes, which account for about 10% of the housing market, was supposed to rise 3.7%. I don't know why, but that didn't happen. By the way, new home sales are drawn from permits. Permits, by the way, down 12% from a year ago. Mortgage rate 4.81. Oh, here you go. The price. Yeah, prices were down another 3.1% to just under $310,000. The amount of inventory Right now, remember, they kept telling, it's 6 months, and we've had this horrible shortage. Right? That was the problem with we just have this shortage. There's no homes out there. Of course, remember, I was saying, plenty of homes out there. Right? For $500,000 more, plenty. 7.4 months supply. And I'm going to tell you right now, no, that did not work out very well, did it? What we are chasing, we're going to have to keep chasing. So stay tuned. We're working on it. Almost 7.5 months supply of new homes on the market. That is the most since February 2011. I got news for you. I think it's going to get a little worse. I don't want it to, but I think it is. And again now, so you're going to see what's going to happen. I mean, come on. Let's use common sense. What's going to happen? The home builders are going to what? We're going to start building less homes. Which means what? We're going to need less people to build them. Kind of what, General Motors was saying. And again, I don't get it. I don't understand how they can't see these things. I mean, it's not like I'm finding this top secret housing report, right? I mean, I didn't have to look very hard. And you think about sales plummeting everywhere. And you're looking at the supply numbers now that are skyrocketing. Then you look at J.P. Morgan, all of a sudden coming out, the dollar, it's on the horizon. The dollar getting ready to join the rest of the pack. You know what that means, right? Joining the rest of the pack means the economy has slowed, and yet the Federal Reserve is still out there acting like nothing's happened. Hey, it's just like that. Just like that, it comes through for me. I got a great special. I promise you, if you handle this, I'll have it up on the website. Give me till a little bit after the show. I'll get it up there. These are $10 liberties, but these aren't the ones or regular ones. I've got 200 of them. It's a great opportunity. You're looking to come into this market, do 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand. Today's a good day to do it. These are the $10 liberties. These are 1866 to 1907. Before we ever had a central bank when the money was sound. These are going to be AU. By the way, the first round of the CU's already gone. Colorado, Jason should have his today. I've got a few more left. I already did the first round in Phoenix before Thanksgiving. All of those that are waiting to be shipped out of Phoenix, you'll ship out before Friday. Matter of fact, Friday, you'll ship on Friday. Everything will be out. But these are going to be the AUs. So these are the almost uncirculated. And I will tell you, these coins have been coming. They've been awesome. Right? So AU means, hey, they're going to have less coin marks. They're not going to have the gouges on them. They're not going to have, a lot of the coins you'll see will have, they were put in bezels and soldered and all. None of that. These things are going to be crisp, really good looking. Our normal price on a regular $10 piece today, matter of fact, it's down $10 from the other day, $6.75. You can get the AUs today at $670, and if you buy 10 or more, $665 at 800-951-0592. If you give me about 15, 20 minutes, I'll have the AU10 libs up on the website as well, so you can order with your thumbs, order with your fingers, however you want to do it. 800-951-0592. I did get another one here. Here you go. It takes a while sometimes. I've got one case. I wish I had more. Of backdate silver Eagles. I'll give you the price when I get back. 800-951-0592. This item will not be available online because I've only got one case. Backdate silver Eagles. I don't know what the date is, but you're going to save $300, $8,575 on a case of 500 silver Eagles. They come in the green monster box. The 25 rolls of 20 inside of it, and it weighs about 42 pounds. It's picture kind of like a shoebox size. A little different, but similar to that of a shoebox. Weighs about 42 pounds, 500 ounces of silver. Got one case, $8,575. I have no update on when the mint is shutting down, and I have no update yet on when you can start ordering 2019s. I'm sure here in the next week or two we'll have that out for you. But that one is not going to be available online. On the gold side, just a great item. AU, which is almost uncirculated. $10 Liberties, $670. That's cheaper than you can buy the ones that we normally sell. You buy 10 or more, they're going to make it even better for you, right? $665 at 800-951-0592. By the way, like I said, in about 10 minutes, I will have that gold up on the website. Okay, but the case of silver, you do have to call on your own and get that locked in. 800-951-0592. We were waiting on Jay Powell. He hasn't flapped his yaps yet. Gold and silver, they're just hanging. Gold's up 20 cents, $1,214 or so. Silver's up about a nickel. $14.15. The Dow, let me tell you right now, I don't know anything, so don't take it for what it's worth. I don't believe this little Dow. This week the Dow's come back and got killed the last few weeks. I'm not buying it, but it is up 200 points today. They're trying to, buy some quality stocks in there. But things are not going the right direction. New home sales today, huge slowdown. The GDP revision, the numbers stayed the same. But they said the consumer really didn't, I don't want to mislead you. It wasn't like the consumer was horrible, but it was just okay. And then the big balloon in the inventory. So looks like the slowdown. I don't know how many more signs they're going to need. And I'm sure tomorrow we'll talk about what Jay Powell said. I assume that and anything else that may be out there. And of course, we got jobless claims and all of those things. But the GM stuff won't even be hitting yet. 800-951-0592. Oh, by the way, I forgot this too. Trade deficit hit a new record. Yeah, so even with the tariffs, a new all-time record high in the trade deficit. 1 month, almost $78 billion of wealth leaving the United States. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back tomorrow.